I'm the editor-in-chief of both of the magazines, so I work on deciding what the content is going to be from week to week when it comes to Hamptons, and Gotham, it comes out 8 times a year, so deciding on what that content will be, working on events to celebrate those issues, and doing some work on television to promote the issues. But overall, just deciding what the content is and what the message is that we want to get across each week or each month. I think what we all realize now is reinvention is a good thing. You really need to keep things fresh and know what's going on in the world and in the marketplace, and take those brands and take them to the next level. Bring them onto Twitter, bring them onto Facebook, bring them onto the internet, give them an app, make them a TV show, whatever it is. But it's been really fun and an extraordinary experience, I guess, to have more of a youthful eye with it and really want to do that. For me, that's exciting. In terms of the brands, I live them. I mean, they're truly my lifestyle. I'm a native New Yorker, and this is my city. I love it more than anything. So I don't want anything going on in the city that I don't know about. And I don't want other brands doing things with their magazines or their newspapers or their websites that we're not doing with ours. So it's personal, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, and it crosses over to the Hamptons. Both of those brands need to be the most known in their marketplaces and doing everything that we can possibly do to make that happen. And I happen to think it's really fun. People's definition of what their job was and what you sort of put out there in terms of job requirements for a magazine editor 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, wildly different than what it is today. And I'm not really sure anybody can put out there and say exactly what it is that you're looking for. But it's definitely different, and the landscape has changed, and people are looking for personalities and people who represent their brands visually, on camera, on Twitter, you know, can really get that messaging across and complete that brand. Because the truth of it is, right now, it's about personalities. You want to feel connected to the Hamptons. You want to feel connected to Gotham. And it's one thing for me to give you that magazine and for you to pick it up and read it, but you want all the steps of how you got to those pages. How did we decide who's going to be on the cover? How did we decide if we're going to celebrate them with a party? What did that party look like? You know, what did the shoot look like while we were photographing them? And that's what's great about all of the new technology that's out there. We can show you. You know, it used to be a mystery. You sort of used to go from month to month. You'd pick up Vogue 12 times a year, and it was controlled, completely and totally controlled by paper. And you never really knew. I mean, you were curious, but you never really knew how it all came to be. And now it's really exciting because we show you, you know, we deliver to you how it all happens. And I think that's super cool. When I first started, I worked at Vogue, and it was an incredible, extraordinary experience. I loved it. It's the foundation of who I am. I mean, it really is the place that teaches you inherently to be a smart, strong editor. There's no room for error, and it was an amazing experience. And when I left there, I went to work for Oprah's magazine at Hearst, and people thought it was sort of an interesting move, a little bit unexpected. I mean, I really came from the premier fashion magazine, and I sort of went completely to another degree to work with Oprah. And the reasoning was, at that time, and it wasn't that long ago, but it seems that long ago, I was really fascinated by her branding, which most people are, but nobody really understood why they were fascinated by it. But for her to be able to have, at that point, a television show that reached millions and millions of viewers, and then launch a magazine, which also reached millions of viewers, and for those two to be cross-branded was very interesting. Now you look at it, and it's the obvious. I mean, everybody's doing it. And, you know, now she has a new network, and now all of us have websites, and we have apps, and we have all of these things. But that move for me was very calculated, to understand how you reach people on multiple platforms, because everybody knew those were the seedlings of when it was happening. And now, you know, shame on you if you didn't realize that.
When you were growing up, is this what you wanted to do?
I always wanted to work in magazine publishing. My family has for a long time. My family still does. We have a lot of family at Condé Nast, all over the place. It's always what I wanted to do, without a doubt. And I think that's sort of a funny thing to people, but I grew up in Manhattan, and then I went to college. I went to Tulane, and I always interned. I worked in New Orleans at the Times-Picayune, their newspaper. I worked at some small magazines there, but I returned home every summer religiously and interned at magazines in New York. I worked at InStyle, I worked at Vogue. It was so important to me. To my parents' dismay, I wanted to work too much. I think my parents wanted to send me away to camp or some program or some trip when everyone else was going everywhere, but I wanted to come home and I wanted to work. And it is sort of the foundation of where I am today. I mean, I think interning is, it can never be oversaid. What made me want to work is, I think it's something that was instilled in me as a really young child. My mother is the most committed woman to her career and is the most fantastic role model, and she is the most wonderful mother anyone could ever ask for. So I saw in her what is something that I wanted to achieve in my life, to have two things that you're really, really good at. It's extraordinary to have a mother who is, who is passionate about multiple things. And I think that that's the message that is the right one for women. You can be super successful at work and you can be super successful as a mom. You just need to figure out how to balance the two. And my mother did that. I went to school for many years, and I went to school to have a career. And not only a job, but to have a career, to create something that was all-encompassing, that could grow, and that meant something, and that I worked really hard for. And when I became a mother, which was the most powerful thing I think that can happen to a woman, I didn't want to put the brakes on that. I worked really hard to get to where I was. And I do think that we are a generation of women who have seen others do that and regret it. And it wasn't that long ago. And it's ingrained in women's minds now. And it's scary. I mean, it's scary to do it all, but it's scarier not to. I'm incredibly driven by my career. Anybody who knows me and anybody who has even touched me who doesn't know me knows that. It is a very, very large part of my life, but so is being a mother. And I think that my daughter already at 3.5 sees that. I include her in what I'm doing and help her to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think the thing with children, and even when they're really small, they just need to understand when you're not home, why you're not home. Take them to work with you one day. I mean, I don't think personally that work is really the environment for children, and I think it's important to keep your family life and your personal life away from work. But I think you also have to realize that as a mother, children need a visual. I mean, they need to understand where you are when you're not with them. And I bring my daughter into the office, and she finds it incredibly exciting to see my Post-it notes and to see the pens on my desk and to see where I sit and to see the TV in my office. And she likes to experience that. And every time I bring her in, I realize that it gets a little bit easier when I'm leaving to explain to her, oh, mommy's going to work. you know, or mommy's leaving. Oh, is mommy leaving to go and go on the Today Show? You know, is that what she's doing? As long as they understand, it makes it easier. I'm Samantha Yanks, editor-in-chief of Gotham and Hamptons magazines. I'm a power woman because I couldn't be busier, but I couldn't be happier.